for today's liturgy, the 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time, focus on wisdom. Wisdom. And wisdom is described in our first reading as resplendent, shining brightly, and unfading. It does not grow dim. It is always shining brightly. But wisdom, even if it is shining brightly and unfading, it is not always perceived by everyone. There seems to be an element of mystery in wisdom. We have this expression in our lives when things are unclear to us. For example, a religious or a priest is being given a new assignment, and then murag lisod kaayo sakton, nganong dito ko ibutang, nganong layo ko ibutang, nganong bukid ko ibutang, nganong gikan sa dako nga parokya dito sa gamay nga parokya, nganong dinhi sa usa ka maayo nga assignment gipadala ko sa misyon. And then the friends will console him. Just be patient. There is wisdom behind it. In cases of death, especially when death comes to us in a very surprising time and moment, it's difficult to understand. Sickness. Pubutan mo ni siya nga tao, sige mo ni siya magsimba. Pero ano na siya ani nga sakit? What's the wisdom behind it? Who will not be confused when a newly announced third bishop of Tanda, 2 weeks after, he was diagnosed of cancer? What's the wisdom behind it? Why? But wisdom, because it is mysterious, is perceived, according to the first reading, by a lover. The person who loves can easily perceive wisdom. Because it is not given to us clearly, immediately, the meaning behind the event. The person who is in love is patient in discovering the reason and meaning behind it. And who has the patience to do that? It is the person who loves. Because a person who loves will live not because he is able or she is able to calculate things, but a person who is in love can live with questions and answers. He can bear all the questions that remained unanswered because he believed that there are problems in life that have no easy solutions. And at times we are just invited to go through it. Just go through it with all the pains and the joys and confusions. Nai inyong mga anak na At some point, maayo man nga bata, pero at some point, wala man magtarong sa pag-eskwela. But you continue to lavish them with your love. Kaya mapunta kagyan mo ng higayon na kapuyan na sila magbalhin-balhin sa kurso. Sa ilang pagbalhin-balhin, they are able to discover what they really want in life. Mga magtiayon, sige mag-away, sige mag-away. Pero kung abot ang panahon na kapuyan kagyan mo sila mag-away, o manang malinaw na dahil ang kinabuhi. And then they begin to understand that behind the arguments, behind misunderstandings, they begin to understand that it is part of loving. It is part of being at home. That I am assured I am loved even if I have an independent mind. Love can wait. Dili siya dalig-dalig. Di ba na ay kanta na ito? Wise men say, only fools rush in. Di ba? Ang katong magdalig-dalig, they are not considered wise. That is why discernment takes a lot of time. We discover the meaning of events, the meaning of the things happening in our lives, that at first we can hardly understand, that we are able to understand them in the gradual unfolding of events. And then we say to ourselves, once we discover it, once the lover discovers it, maudi ay. Maudi ay. That is why, before that discovery, the responsorial psalm reminds us, my soul is thirsty, longing for you, my God. The more I am in the process of discovering God's will, the longing for God becomes more intense. And this is what happened to our second reading. Paul writes to the Thessalonians, do not worry. Do not only think about the life now on this earth. Wisdom is always associated with hope. Hope for something that will last. Hope for an everlasting life. There is something that will last in our life. There is what we call forever. And who is the person who believes that there is forever? It is the person who loves. Hinunduman nato ang atong mga love stories, experiences of love. Bisan dugay na nga panahon, bisan pagani og nagbulag na mo, but you still remember, because we can never forget our experiences of love. When we love, we enter into eternity. That is why heaven is for people who believe in love. Paul said, he assured the Thessalonians, there is everlasting life. Like what happened to Jesus? He died, but he rose from the dead. And that is wisdom, to believe that there is life everlasting. The gospel. Who is a wise person. They are personifying by the 5 virgins who were vigilant, who had that enough supply of oil. Because sa kustombre sa mga Hudiyo, ang ilang kasal din imuon diha sa mga simbahan, imuon diha sa balay. O unya ang bridegroom, paabuton siya nga maglakaw gikan sa ilang balay paingon sa babae. But he will choose the longest route. Tungod kay that is the time for him, because wedding is a very important event for the Jews. Muna nga, it is not just a celebration of the families involved. It is the celebration of the whole community. Mao nga, to give chance for the community to express their wishes for the couple about to be married. They will take the longest route para makapadayag ang mga tao sa ilang panghinao sa usa ka maayo maluntaron nga kaminyo. Muna nga dugay siya maabot, dili sila kabalo kanos ang moabot. Tungang gabi, alas 10 sa gabi, kaadlaw. Muna siguro nga, diya siguro nagagikan ang atong desire lang kasal maayo ko, taas kaayo nga simbahan para taas ang atong martsahan. Kung gusto mo taas, dinis katedral, taas. Kung gusto pag iyo mas taas, pwede magsugod sa ako. No? Paingon din eh. But the original meaning is, dili para nindot ang video o makamarcha ka na. Labi na itong nagpalit yun ang mga maayo na sinina o nag-diet for 2 months para masunog nila ang ilang mga nindot na sinina na dili maklaro ang building. But for the bridegroom and the bride to see people around attending the wedding with their smiles, perceiving their wishes for a lasting commitment. Nalangan ang pag-abot sa bridegroom. Kay layo man ang ibang layan. Dili man sila maghabal-habal sa una, wala na siya. Magbaklay. O pag-abot sa bridegroom, the gong was sounded and it was announced. The bridegroom has arrived. Apan ang 5 ka mga danghag na mga virgins, nagpahok, nagduka. Sana sa pipila natin karon. Okay? Because kumpiyansa sila na ako kay patumabo. Wala na, hinay-hinay na nahurot ang ilang oil. Kay dugay man nakabot. They were only thinking after 10 o'clock na siguro. But the wise virgins thought of the delay, possibility of the delay. That's why they were called wise virgins. So wisdom is connected to vigilance. In the second reading, wisdom is connected to hope. O kinsa man ang sige matatong, who is vigilant, the one who loves. Kinsay maghagop pagbantay sa masakiton, nga pwede walay tulog-tulog, the one who loves. Not the one who is being paid for, but the one who loves. And if we try to look at our readings for today's liturgy, wisdom is not something. Wisdom is someone. Wisdom is Jesus. The wisdom of God. The meaning of God. And that is why if there are things that we can hardly understand in our lives, we have to go to Jesus. We have to pray for Jesus for enlightenment, because it is Jesus who will show us the meaning of the events in our lives. Events that we find it difficult to understand. But with Jesus, the enlightenment of the Holy Spirit, we will begin to understand the meaning behind events, even those that are very, very painful. That is wisdom. If there are things that we find it difficult to understand, let us turn to Jesus, because He is the wisdom of the Father. And the closer we are to Jesus, the more we perceive what wisdom is all about, the meaning of our lives. When we see the hand of God behind all the events in our lives that we find it difficult to understand, then we see the meaning of things. There is a prayer, a beautiful, very short prayer that is being used by those AAs who are engaged in a 12-step program, the Alcoholic Anonymous. This is also being used by drug dependents who are trying to recover from their dependency. And the prayer goes like this, very familiar to us. It's a prayer of serenity. It says, God, give me the grace of serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are things that we continue to struggle. We continue to wrestle because we cannot accept. In counseling, if things cannot be changed anymore, we have to accept it. We work for acceptance. If they can still be changed, we have to work for it. That is why grieving is an important process in accepting the reality of death. And at times, it takes a long time, especially when the person is so close to us and the death came to us surprisingly. Is that something we can change? No. Because the person is gone. But can we accept it? Yes. But we need time. Vices, can we change it? Yes. Can we change it? Yes. Can a person change? Yes. But not alone. He has to be accompanied by friends, by loved ones. And so we repeat the prayer. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know.